Robert Krejcik here reporting for Rebel News in Ottawa, Ontario on day 23 of the trial of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. The two are being charged with a series of crimes related to their roles as organizers in the 2022 Freedom Convoy. You all remember that. It was a peaceful demonstration against what I regularly describe as the COVID-19 enterprise. Mandates, edicts, decrees, lockdowns. The day's proceedings were largely a continuation of a disclosure dispute that we saw yesterday. A quick little recap. There are a series of documents from the Ottawa Police Service that are largely or wholly redacted in their submissions to the defense teams, and the two defense counsels are seeking full disclosure of these documents. This ongoing dispute between the Crown and defense will likely be resolved by next week, but we'll get to that in a moment, as we were fortunate enough to speak with one of the lawyers about this ongoing dispute. Before we continue, though, please remember we cannot do this in the field reporting without your support. So please visit tamaratrial.com and contribute and stay up to date with our ongoing coverage.
My question is like, you need help, man. You need help. Yeah? I would say, you know what would help me? An apology for all the harm that was done to our community, our neighborhood. You're laughing, right?
Do you have any anticipation about when that might be resolved? Has the judge let you know some time frame upon which she will make a decision about this ongoing dispute, maybe next week?
Not specifically, but the indication she gave to us in court was that she's expecting likely the issue about whether or not these documents are relevant. She's going to be able to resolve early next week. She indicated with the issues around the claim of solicitor-client privilege, it might take a little longer, but not specifically when.
Now, with Nicole Bates' wipe phone and the Isabel Sears wipe phone, that's the word that Bates used, is there a way to obtain the data that was erased from those work phones from other officers? Presumably, there are many PLT officers. Is there an option through which those devices could be investigated or searched to find what it is that was lost from at least those two officers' phones?
Well, it's the police that are investigating these matters, and any investigative avenues that are open to them, they're at liberty to take.
Okay, one last question. You're being so generous. Thank you. I was speaking with a lawyer about time frame requirements in terms of a Jordan application. Is that something that's on the table with respect to this ongoing trial?
Well, I mean, in any case, that's always an issue that you have to look at as to how much time has gone by and whether a Jordan application is an issue. Obviously, you've heard Ms. Magus' comments in court about that, and we'll have to see day by day where it goes.
So I'm here with Adam from the Democracy Fund. Adam, you were there all day with me in the proceedings. Let's talk about this ongoing disclosure dispute. Did anything new get revealed today in terms of what we saw, or something interesting? We saw the two defense teams citing a bunch of previous cases that they were claiming relate to this disclosure decision. Anything you want to share with our audience about that?
No, it was really more of the same. Defense did bring in a couple of cases, as you pointed out. They were basically in relationship in relation to the lawyer solicitor-client privilege, which is the ongoing dispute, which Perkins McVeigh is going to have to make a decision on. The issue that's been reiterated today is that the communications that have been disclosed that the Crown is claiming solicitor-client privilege for are between two officers. So in order to, as we've gone over, in order to have a solicitor-client relationship, there on its face needs to be a solicitor, which is a lawyer, and a client. So the question is, and the question the defense has been asking, is how can this relationship be established by the Crown if you don't have one of the elements of the solicitor-client relationship, namely the solicitor?
Now, any expectation as to when this might be resolved? Eric Granger said he thinks it'll be next week. Any idea on that?
Yeah, Perkins McVeigh, I believe, stated that early next week she's going to have a decision made with respect to the first-party, third-party records decision. So that's with respect to the 5-page, fully redacted, blacked-out documents. The Crown, again, just to refresh everybody's memory, the Crown is contending that these are subject to a third-party records application, Granger pointed out that because the Crown had these records in their possession and the Crown handled them and redacted them, this is now no longer a third party, but a first party records application, which means it would fall into the same category as the other disclosure requests.
So just to be a sort of ambassador for the audience for a moment, if I recall correctly, a third party record or third party application means that the document being sought by the defense must be procured or obtained from a third party, right? But in this case, since the document itself was in the hands and the possession of the Crown, that the defense is saying the Crown, since it possessed this document, must now present it under first party disclosure, right?
That's exactly right. That's right. So that's where Granger, is essentially going on about, okay, this is because it was in the hands of the Crown, this is exclusively a first party disclosure issue.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, between the Crown and defense teams relates to two broad categories of documents. One category of documents is an email chain between Ottawa Police Service officers that were working with the police liaison team, the PLT, at the time of the Freedom Convoy. The PLT is a group of officers that coordinates with stakeholders during special events. In the context of this trial, that means that PLT officers were communicating with, corresponding with, coordinating with organizers of the protest, including Chris Barber and presumably Tamara Lich. So this internal email chain between these PLT officers is almost entirely redacted. All we know is that the subject line of these emails is PLT disclosures. Now, how is the Crown justifying its ongoing near full redaction of these documents, of these emails? It is saying that they are protected by solicitor-client privilege. In other words, lawyer-client privilege, attorney-client privilege, that these are privileged communications. But the problem here is, the challenge is that these are simply communications, emails between police officers, and there's no lawyer involved. So the defense attorneys raised that concern. They're asking the judge to agree with them, to accommodate their request for full disclosure of the emails, because in the absence of a solicitor, of a lawyer being on those email chains, how can they be protected by solicitor-client privilege? The Crown's counter-argument to this is that these emails contain information regarding legal counsel received by these police officers being discussed amongst themselves, and that legal counsel was provided by the Ottawa Police Service's legal department. Now, at the end of the day, this disclosure dispute will be resolved by the judge one way or the other. She's got 5 options in front of her. Option 1, she can choose not to view these documents in dispute and decide that they should be fully disclosed. She can also choose not to see these documents and keep all the redactions intact. She can also choose to review the documents herself and decide to keep all the redactions, to remove all the redactions, or to remove some of the redactions. So those are the options in front of the judge. She'll be the final arbiter of this dispute as the trier of fact in this case, the presiding officer over the trial, and we expect that to be determined next week, but even that is not for sure. Dear Rebel News audience, we want to continue delivering this in the field, on the ground, reporting to you, but we need your help to do it. So please contribute to our operational costs at tamaratrial.com and stay up to date with our ongoing journalism.